In this video, I want to explain to you, if you are in the legal industry, why if you're not using a combination of outsourcing plus AI, you're absolutely leaving money on the table. For those of you who don't know me, I'm James Nguyen. I'm the CEO and founder of Inflection Teams, and one of our biggest product lines is human-edited transcripts. So we do thousands and thousands of audio hours every single month of 99.99% accurate transcripts. And our clients include unicorns in the tech space, in the finance space, across other industries as well. And so if you're a legal service provider, if you're a law firm, if you're anybody that services the legal industry and transcription is part of your workflow and or a key part of your actual product, this video is going to be relevant to you. I want to explain to you the mechanics of the industry and why there's a massive opportunity in terms of cost savings while maintaining quality for outsourcing plus AI in legal transcripts. Before I get started though, there's a couple of really key caveats here that I want to address. This video will not be relevant for you if you fit into two criteria, okay? So the first one is if you have very, very compliant restrictions regarding the transmission of data. So if you're a government agency, if you have CGIS compliance, if one of your clients fit into these buckets, and you need to keep all data, transmission of audio recordings as an example, onshore in the US, this won't be relevant. The second one is if you need real-time transcription. So if you require an accredited stenographer, accredited court reporter, if you have to create transcripts that are instantaneous and they have to be word for word perfect and they have to be formatted exactly in adherence with what your clients need or 25-line formatting, etc., then this also won't be relevant for you. What we specialize in and what this workflow is best for is recorded audio. So I'm talking about post-fact or retrospective transcription. I'm not talking about real-time transcription. So in this video, you're going to learn the 5 reasons or the primary 5 factors that contribute to why this is a massive opportunity for transcription in the legal industry today. But before we get started, I'm going to be speaking a little bit around a very, very high level, the concept of transcription in the modern era, right? So 2024 onwards, transcription for recorded audio, this workflow. So the normal workflow in general transcription today, so you have an audio file, it then gets sent to an AI platform. That transcription platform then creates what we call in the industry, the raw transcript. It's not perfectly accurate. I would say it's about, give or take, 80% accurate. Now, you're going to see online, you're going to see 90% accuracy, 95% accuracy. You're going to see, word error rates. You're going to see all this jargon thrown around. But I'll be real with you. A lot of this is all marketing. My assumption there, and they don't put this in the fine print, very clear, generally speaking, US-based accent, because there's a lot of training data for US audio. It's very clear audio, potentially single speaker only, and it's not necessarily that dense in terms of technical terminology. That, generally speaking, is the highest accuracy that you're going to see in the market. So generally explaining that transcription workflow, right? Audio, AI transcription gives you the 80% raw transcript first, okay? I would assert everything up to here has already been outsourced. It's just been outsourced to AI. So my position here is if you've already had that much cost savings from outsourcing this step, why would you not outsource the next step? If it's going 80% accurate, why wouldn't you then outsource and try to get it to 95% accurate? Because and I'll go through this a little bit later, but if you are paying a legal transcriber, industry rate, right? Take $20 to $35, right? Let's take an average of $25 an hour. If you're taking that and you can help them save 2 hours from their workflow, 3 hours from their workflow, then suddenly you get immediate cost savings because you're not paying for that. Outsourcing to AI is one thing, but you can also outsource to globalized talent that is very specialized, trained exactly to do it. And they could just take it from 80% to 95% plus, right? 95, 96, 97, 98, maybe even 99%. And then you have the third layer there, which is a US accredited transcriptionist or a legal transcriber that is able to take it all the way and have the final stamp of approval. That's the general transcription workflow. You take audio, raw transcript. This section here, this middle stage, then gets outsourced to go from 80% to 95 plus percent. Then you take that final last mile and you have a US-based accredited transcriber to make sure that it's essentially done end to end. So what you're really seeing there, in essence, is if that legal transcriptionist that is US-based no longer has to spend 4 hours on an hour of audio and only has to spend 2 hours, then suddenly you get to have the cost savings of the difference between that person's wage and then the transcriptionist that is from globalized talent in that middle layer, their time, the difference there, that gets to be the cost saving. So Now that high level's out of the way, let's go through it. Here are the 5 different reasons that you in the legal industry should absolutely be thinking about outsourcing plus AI. Okay. So the first one is the obvious one, cost saving. So I'm not going to go too into the weeds of this. I have another video where we're going to really be breaking down the granularity. Let's go super high level. I'm going to go online. I will not name the actual vendors here, but I'm going to show you the general pricing here, okay? Very simply, we have 3 different tiers that are generally regular in the industry, okay? So we have a rush pricing, it's 1 to 2 business days. By the way, I think that should be the standard pricing. Then we have standard pricing, that's 3 to 5 business days. And then we have extended prices, 6 to 10. Let's take the lowest price here, $1.50, to the highest price here, $5, right? $1.50 to $5. This is vendor A. Okay, so this is what they're saying. They say on average, the standard pricing is $1.75 per audio minute. Okay, let's see how this stacks up to a couple of other vendors. We have here, a standard transcript that is not specific to terminology is about $1.25. Let's go up to verbatim transcripts, which is more akin to what would be happening in legal. That's closer to $2, right? So again, falls in the range of what we saw before, $1.50 to $5. Okay, let's have a look at another one. We have here $2 a minute for human edited transcripts, 99% accurate. So we're seeing anywhere between $1.50 to $5. Now, I'll give you a little bit of an understanding of the going rate or how this works in terms of the unit economics, okay? So $1.50 times 60 equals $90, okay? That's 1 hour, means it's about $90. Now, on average, and now this is a range, on average, a human transcriber, even with AI, I'm talking about making it really, really perfect, should in the ballpark take about 4 audio hours. So many variables here. If there's bad audio, it takes longer. Multiple speakers takes longer. Hard terminology, especially we're talking the legal industry, if you're going to have to look up previous cases, look up names, it's going to take longer, right? But I'm talking in general in the industry. It takes one person about 4 hours, right? So you divide 90 by 4 and suddenly you get 22.5, okay? Remember, I'm taking the absolute lowest number here. We saw ranges of $1.75, we saw $2, we saw all the way up to $5, right? So $22.50 per hour is the lowest range based on the publicized rates, okay? And you can go out and you can research all of these. These are live job postings. I want to corroborate this number, right? So we're looking here, transcription in legal, okay, $22, $25 corroborates that. Another job here, it is a legal transcriptionist, $20 to $35 an hour, okay? That corroborates our math. So we know on average it's taking, let's call it $22, $25 an hour. That's what you'll be paying. I'm telling you right now, we do it for $15 an hour. Okay, so that averages out to closer to $1 a minute. And we are working with some of the biggest enterprises in the entire world, and we're doing 99.9% accuracy for them. And so it ranges, right? $15 in the ballpark of, there's so many variations there, but I'm telling you right now, if you're paying $25 an hour, that's 30 to 50% more expensive than you need to be paying. And by the way, we're not turning it around in 3 to 5 days, right? 1 to 3 days is what you should be looking at realistically. 24 hours for a really well-oiled machine is what you should be looking at, right? So that's cost savings. Number one, you should be looking at, and I'm talking the exact workflow we talked about before. We're using, right, onshore as well. I'm not saying we don't use onshore, offshore, right? Onshore, there's outsource/offshore or globalized talent plus AI, that whole end-to-end workflow, at least 30 to 50% cost savings, right? That's what you should be considering in the industry. So that's number one. Number two, faster turnaround time. Now, I spoke about it before, on average, a 4-hour turnaround. And, rightfully so, you might be asking, well, if it takes 4 hours, why would we be waiting 1 to 3 business days? Now, to be fair to transcription agencies, we are one, or one of our product lines is, there's a lot of additional steps there. So if you're just getting a freelancer, yes, there's only one person there, and then you're going to do one thing. But the trade-off of getting one freelancer to turn around in 4 hours on average, you're then foregoing the ability to have specialized people for different roles, right? Research roles, people to QA that work, having additional passes. Then you're also foregoing the ability to then have industry experts, right? So if it's in a certain industry, in the legal industry, again, having that specialization is super, super important. But realistically, turning it over in 4 hours, that's extreme rush turnaround, okay? And so I'm going to quote another vendor in the space, vendor X here, and I quote, rapid turnaround times, meeting specific times from 4 hours, as I said, that is actually very, very fast, for rush files, and up to 6 to 10 business days. If they're taking up to 10 business days, that is way too long, right? And I get it. Think about this, if it's one freelancer, one court reporter, and they have this huge amount of work, they're going to have to coordinate their schedule, and they're going to have to play things around. Makes sense why they can only turn around in 10 days. Now, you might not have an immediate need for it within 24 hours, but having it earlier allows you a lot more flexibility and a lot more optionality. So if you're using the augmented workflow, using a transcription agency that incorporates AI, incorporates outsourcing, 1 to 3 days should be the standard. Number 2, the best thing here is the ability to, at scale, hint, that's the next one, the ability to, at scale, really turn around transcripts a hell of a lot faster. So number 3 is higher scale. I've alluded to this. If you are working with a core reporter that you hire in, I'm looking at these different job postings. I'm looking at other job postings that have been posted for quite some time. We're talking months at a time here. Then it's obviously indicative that it is not necessarily the easiest thing to hire a transcriptionist. Or if you're a law firm, finding the right legal transcriptionist, that level of recruitment tax, and that additional bandwidth drain, that's suddenly very problematic. So being able to scale up that team becomes troubling. And again, we see this, right? Some of our clients are transcription agencies. And so being able to meet quality standards at scale is a challenge in the transcription industry. So that's number 3. Number 4, this is a huge thing. If you're paying $1.50, right? And remember, that is the lowest amount in the industry that you're seeing right now. You shouldn't just be getting a transcript, okay? You should be getting a hell of a lot more than a transcript given how much efficiency gains there should be in workflows today, right? And so the advantage of using both AI as well as outsourcing, as well as human onshore perfected accredited transcribers, is the idea of derivative content. So if you have a transcript, or let's say it's a transcript of a deposition, in theory, also adding on top of that, having a summary of the key points would be advantageous, right? Being able to extract key action items and important dates from case discovery, trial prep, from client meetings, like all these different things. This, for me, should be table stakes now. We shouldn't only be paying for transcripts. You should be paying for more. You should be paying for premium derivative content like summary of key points, like extraction of key action items and important dates, like these keyword extractions. This should be augmented, right? So that's number 4, okay? Additional content. That's why you should be using this workflow. And then number 5 is a really key thing, is using AI in general is going to set up your workflows for the future. Okay, what I mean by this, if you're using a freelancer, if you're using a one-man shop or even a small agency, then likely not going to have the technical proficiency to have built their own AI systems. So when they receive audio, they can't do anything but listen to the audio and transcribe it. And they might be able to use some third-party AI tools, but as I said, the really key thing about using AI in general is it augments this process. So let's take police body cam as an example. That's, generally speaking, a lot of background noise, a lot of distortion, a lot of volume, and not to mention potentially sometimes accents and other variables as well. That makes it very problematic and strenuous for a human editor to transcribe with no AI augmentation. But with AI in that workflow, what we're able to actually do is we're able to isolate voices. We're able to neutralize background noise, remove background noise. We're able to stabilize volume. And so all of these things actually make a more comfortable editing experience. And so if you're familiar with the editing process itself, I said 4 hours before given the standard variables. If we can bring it back and stabilize all those variables and make audio quality more of a constant, audio volume a constant, voice isolation more of a constant, then suddenly we can get everything closer to a well-oiled machine around 4 hours per audio hour. What you're really setting up for is, if you see the age of AI, you see ChatGPT, you see large language models, they actually use transcripts for their workflow. So being able to integrate that workflow where AI is already part of that workflow just enables you, whether it's in your workflow right now or in future down the line, your actual product offering, it allows AI to actually amplify, not just augment, but amplify the value that you can provide, right? It augments the workflow to make it more efficient and amplifies the value that you can actually provide to your end clients, or if you are the end client, in your workflows itself. So that's the 5th reason. So they're the 5 primary reasons why in the legal industry today, you should be thinking about augmenting your transcription workflow with outsourcing as well as AI. If there's an accreditation, as I said, it could still be part of the workflow we just talked about. 25-line formatting, understanding all those nuances there in terms of legal transcription, that's all possible within this workflow. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I will see you in the next video as we continue to break down the transcription industry and really pull back the curtain on where all the cost savings are.